Andres Munoz is unbelievable. You all know that. We know that. But we have not dedicated a true segment to Andres Munoz so far this year, and it's time we do so.
He has been putting the bullpen in a backpack, with his bad back, by the way, in running diamonds over and over and over. It's like high school conditioning all over again, Lyle. Everyone's jumping in Andres Munoz's backpack and running home plate, left field foul pole, right field foul pole, home plate, and then again, and again, and again, and again, because that's what this dude is doing. This is, with all respect to the rest of those guys, the most sure and probably the only sure 3 outs in that bullpen. The only one. Because he is that unbelievable of a baseball player. We're talking about right now, he is on pace to set a career high in ERA, or career low in ERA, at 1.55 right now. The expected numbers back that up, all below 2.5. I mean, we're talking about expected, FIP, and xFIP. His strikeout rate is back up, 36%. The walk rate is good, manageable, not quite what it was in 2022. I think we'll have some 2022 comparisons in here because that is the standard Andres Munoz set in his first full season. But regardless, Lyle, I mean, this dude is, I think we're going to talk more about All-Stars on Friday's episode, and we can make more of a case then. But in terms of what he is doing on the diamond and the importance he is to this Mariners bullpen, it cannot be understated. Probably the most valuable reliever in baseball, based on what has happened around him.
Let me respond with 2 things. Number one, like you said, with all respect to this bullpen, and not that there aren't other guys in this bullpen, like we talked about. I know there's some guys injured right now, but even of the healthy guys, like Taylor Saucedo's been great. Trent Thornton's been great, like very good at least. There have been guys that have really stepped up in this bullpen and are very dependable. But when you talk about surefire 3 outs, the guys in baseball that you can say that about are the game's elites. The guys that when they come into the game, it doesn't matter if it's a 1-run game and you're facing the heart of the order. You're not worried. You're not sweating it. You know they're going to come in and slam the door. That is Andres Munoz. He is one of the game's elite relievers, elite closers, however you want to draw it up. And number 2, I don't think WAR does him justice here, because he's got an 0.9 FWAR. That's in the top 15 among relievers in baseball. But I don't think that does him justice to what he's meant to the ball club so far. With a bad back, like you just mentioned, he has been one of the game's best relievers. If he was not on this team right now, I don't want to think about what their win total would be. I'll tell you this. If Munoz was not on the team and all the injuries that still occurred, they're not 12 games over. There's no way they're 12 games over. They've been great in all these 1-run wins. So much of that has to do with Andres Munoz. So we are pro WAR on this podcast, of course, but for what Munoz does, I don't think him ranking in the 10 to 15 range in F4 among relievers justifies or highlights just how important he's been.
Yeah. And yet again, for another year, I think we'd envisioned this, and we commented on it when the season's gone along, how he's evolved sort of yet again. 2022 breaks in, fastball, slider. That's it. Last year, works the sinker in. The sinker's fine. It's another pitch. It's not a great pitch, but he works it in last year. This year, Lyle, legitimately, you can make a case a sinker is better than a slider is now. That slider, that devastating pitch, which you could argue is one of the best pitches in baseball in 2022, now might be the second best pitch in his own arsenal. Here's why I think Andres Munoz unlocks another level with this pitch. This pitch, his sinker this year, do you realize he gets more swings and misses on that pitch than he does on a slider?
Crazy.
Yeah, more swings and misses, and he is allowed just 4 singles on that pitch this year. Okay, so if you're telling me you can cook up a pitch in a lab that has a 46% whiff rate, and the best you can do against it is pound it into the ground, 4 singles allowed, the average launch angle against that pitch is -6 degrees. Sure, it gets hit hard, quote-unquote, hard right into the ground to one of your infielders. That's if you don't swing and miss at it. Oh, by the way, he throws it 98 miles an hour. Good luck, right? Good luck. So the pitch is either going into righties and you're pounding it into the ground, or it's going outside to righties and you're probably swinging and missing at it. Good luck, guys. Andres Munoz has refined another one of his pitches, and it has allowed him to reach a new level.
Dude, I think it's almost physically impossible to hit a home run against that pitch. It's like you'll put it into the ground, but I don't know how a hitter could elevate that thing. You just outlined all the numbers to back it up. It is so tough to barrel up. And honestly, another reason he's taken a step, what are most relievers known for? Two really good pitches. Usually they have a really good fastball and a wipeout breaking ball. There's some guys like Mariano Rivera who got away with one pitch their whole career, like Cutter. Andres Munoz is now a 3-pitch closer. You know how hard that is to prepare for? When oh, by the way, he mixes them all in a lot. He uses his slider the most, but he uses his fastball and his two-seamer about 25% of the time each. So the fact you're mixing all 3 of those pitches in at a healthy rate and making hitters prepare for 3 deadly pitches with a fastball that's 100, 102 miles an hour, brutal. A brutal task for opposing hitters. So yet another reason he's leveled up again.
His fastball, his 4-seam fastball, not a sinker, his 4-seam fastball this year has also been better. But I think a lot of what that pitch, all the success that pitch has now, is because hitters are expecting a sinker and don't know what to expect. So the run value of the 4-seam fastball is better than the sinker is. But I think the sinker is actually doing more work to benefit Andres Munoz than just his 4-seam fastball. Because that 4-seam fastball, if you remember in 22, had a negative run value because it got hit pretty hard. It was a hard fastball, but it was a hard and mostly straight fastball that guys would foul off and then eventually hit, and that would be most of the damage Andres allowed that year. Well, this year, like, it's either barreling in under your barrel or it's going over your barrel, and you got to make a decision which one you're swinging at, and you have very, very little time to swing at it. So it is benefited all of his other pitches to make it that much more valuable, and it's more comfortable to him if he doesn't have the feel of one of his pitches. If he can't command his slider, okay, he's only throwing hard stuff. If the sinker's spraying out of the strike zone, well, then I'll just do what I did in 22 and throw 60% sliders. It's really not that big a deal. I'd say there's only one thing here on Andres Munoz on the negative side. I'm yearning for the command he had in 2022. His 2022 command was immaculate. I've mentioned this before, I think, when we did our bullpen preview. Go on to Baseball Savant, go to the heat maps and click the year 2022, and you get a bright red circle of location on both his fastball and his slider. His fastball was perfectly located on the top rail of the strike zone. That red circle, the heat map, which is where he threw most of his pitches, was right in the center of the upper rail of the strike zone, perfectly. And his slider, if you're thinking about it to a right-handed hitter, was perfectly nestled on the lower outside corner to a right-hand hitter. He has yet to regain that. He doesn't have that this year. He's still spraying his pitches around a little bit, and he had a big problem with that last year, which is why he got hit a little hard. So that's probably the one thing. It could just be that his pitches move too much. That could be it. That's a thing.
Call this a hot take. I like 2024 Andres Munoz better than 2022 Andres Munoz. I'd like to see him get his... I do.
That's kind of a hot take.
So I'd love to see him get his command back to 2022 for him, sure. He didn't have 3 pitches back in 2022, number one. And number two, what you just outlined with the run value. He had a 20 run value on his slider that year and a -5 run value on his fastball. What hitters were doing was they essentially gave up on trying to hit his slider, so they would just gear up for his fastball and try to time it up. Well, they can't do that anymore. His fastball doesn't get hit like that anymore because not only does he have a third pitch, but he mixes everything in a lot more now. So it's way harder for hitters to try to time up what he's doing. If you look at the efficiency of each of his pitches, it is much more balanced than what it was in 22, where he had one elite pitch and one pitch that was getting hit pretty hard. Now that's not happening. Now he has 3 pitches that he can use basically at any point that are not getting destroyed.
This is a good subject to please leave a comment down in the description. Send us an email, send us a DM. Which version of Andres Munoz is better? Do you think it was better, or that you trust more, 2022 or 2024? I think this is actually a very interesting discussion on this. So Andres Munoz, I'd say in 2024, is he is more protective of damage. I'll say that. Because he has the sinker, he is less prone to giving up a home run, which is the ultimate damage for relievers. In 2022, when he threw a straight four-seam fastball, a little bit more prone to that. So, I'd say that's the take I'll have on that. Here's my last thing on Andres Munoz. His performance against lefties this year is interesting, to say the least, because when I go back to 2022, for example, he was dominant against left-handers, and he was actually worse against right-handers than he was against left-handers. Last year, it was about even. This year, lefties are hitting him significantly better. I mean, his FIP against lefties is 5 runs higher than it is against righties this year. It's pretty stark splits, and he has pitched about even against both. So he has been a much more mundane reliever this year against left-handed bats, which for the success he's had in his career is a little bit puzzling, and that's something he's going to need to get sorted out.
Could it be a little bit fluky? Just a first half thing?
So there's a couple things that jump out. It could be fluky because he has given up 2 home runs to lefties and none to righties. Those skew numbers immensely. And that could just be chance. That could be just one bad pitch. But he's also walked a lot more lefties as well. So the command and the damage have both not, the damage control have not been there against lefties. Sure, it could probably normalize. I wouldn't be shocked if it normalizes, but the numbers do say in the first half so far, he's been pretty bad against lefties. Uncharacteristically bad against lefties. Not throwing enough strikes, not limiting damage, and really not being that effective against left-handers. Righties, good luck. Lefties, it's not that easy.
Let's see what his numbers look like in the second half against lefties, because that'll give us a better idea of whether this is fluky or whether it's something to really monitor going forward in his career.
Yeah, so the overall breakdown against lefties, strikeouts are down, walks are up. His whip is triple of what it is against righties. His FIP is 5 runs higher, and then he's allowed the 2 homers to none. So that's ultimately the breakdown. It would take some serious work to normalize that and balance it to what right-handers do, but it's something to look out for Andres Munoz. That's probably about it, because otherwise, what I said at the beginning with the backpack, that is what this dude has been doing for this Mariners bullpen.
And the lefties thing, again, I think he faces more righties than lefties, period. And while it's something to monitor, in the end, dude's still got a 1.55 ERA. He's got a 2.26 xERA. He's got a 2.39 FIP. 2.36 FIP. I'll take that any day of the week.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I would think so too. Remember, as a throw-in for a trade, throw-in for an Austin Nola trade.
Yeah.
We'll take it.